Now, you can always be sure it's Equity calling. When we call you, we will use only this number, 0763 000 000. Always be sure it is Equity calling.
A very good evening to you, and thanks for making time for Hope TV Newswatch tonight. My name is Dickens Luvanda, and my sign language interpreter is Boniface Muredi. Now, welcome to the bulletin, where we start with what's trending in the political scene, where the One Kenya Alliance, OKA, says it will field its own presidential candidate in the 2022 elections, dashing hopes of supporting former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. The alliance, which comprises of four principals, ANC's Musalia Mudavadi, Kalonzo Musyoka of Wiper, Gideon Moyo of KANU, and Moses Wetangula of Ford Kenya, while addressing the press following a 2 days retreat in Naivasha, Nakuru County, said they will soon announce their flag bearer. The retreat was called after the leaders met President Uhuru Kenyatta at the Mombasa State House last week, with the reports revealing that Kenyatta urged them to consider supporting Raila Odinga for the presidential post come next year. Let's listen in.
Value and value again to our produce. And lastly, it will be a
Our agreement between KANU and Jubilee is one which runs up to 2022. And it doesn't stop KANU from engaging or affiliating with new formations like OKA. Ambaye itaokoa Kenya. So I always don't go far from the... So my appeal to you today is that we need to end that conversation whether we are here or there. Ours was an NDC decision that was given, and we will see that decision through. But for now, because 3 months into an election, we are supposed to be entering into either alone or we are engaging with others of like-minded.
Kwanza, ningependa kusema kwamba sisi sio marafiki. Sisi ni moja wa wanachama wa OKA. We are not here as friends, we are not invitees, we are part and parcel of the One Kenya Alliance. And I will explain why. We believe, and if you have seen what Jubilee has been standing for, it is really what One Kenya Alliance is standing for. That this country, there is more that unites us than what divides us. That the same pain a mother in Nyeri feels when she cannot feed a child is the same pain a mother in Lamu, where Captain Reda Obo is from, feels when she cannot feed her child. And that unity remains and will become our marching anthem as One Kenya Alliance. So we are here not as invited guests, but as members of One Kenya Alliance.
We reaffirm that our commitment to building a just, inclusive, prosperous nation under the auspices of the One Kenya Alliance is solidly on course. As an alliance anchored on shared ideals of individual freedom, national unity, and equal economic and social opportunities for all, we recognize that we carry the aspirations of millions of Kenyans who yearn for a responsive and reliable leadership bound by the true sense of the law. Therefore, our gathering here today has culminated in a collective agreement to roll out an array of joint public engagement activities. We will not only share our primary agenda of hope on the bedrock of an economic liberation, but also demonstrate that our One Kenya Alliance in One Kenya Alliance, Kenyans have a unique opportunity to bestow their sovereign power on a responsible and trustworthy leadership.
I can assure you, and you can check and you can see, this is the face of Kenya. Those who are saying we're tribal cocoons, you're wrong. This is the face of Kenya. We're representatives from across the country. We have women also who are represented here. We have people living with disability. We have pastoralists who are also part of this. We have farmers. And I just want to assure Kenya that this is where the hope lies. This is where we have met. And I know the question that many of us have is, who is our presidential candidate? We want to tell you, as KANU, as ANC, as Ford Kenya, as Wiper, as members of parliament, and we are solely behind our principles. And whoever they will give us, we will back him fully until the end. And those of us who've been telling us ati tujipange, ati tusipojipanga watatupanga. Shida yao ni nini? Wawache kama OKA tujipange, au waendelee na sera zetu. Sisi pia tutauza na tunauza sera zetu.
The Orange Democratic Party ODM party leader Raila Odinga has launched a political and governance framework to ensure Kenya's economy works for all citizens. Odinga was in Nakuru County accompanied by several other leaders, where he launched a united effort dubbed Azimio la Umoja, so as to address the problems afflicting Kenyans in an effort to unite Kenyans ahead of the much-touted BBI ruling this Friday. Odinga also revealed that his party will soon announce a new political alliance ahead of August 9th general elections the year 2022. Dolly Murege tells us more.
ODM party leader Raila Odinga on Tuesday said that his party will soon announce a new political alliance ahead of the August 9th, 2022 general election. Odinga's revelation comes in the wake of the heightened political realignments in the country as leaders gears up on who will succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta after his final term ends next year. The framework launched by the ODM boss is meant to address the problems afflicting Kenyans in a suitable manner, bringing the diversity of all Kenyans, their leaders and the problems onto one table and embark into a transparent search for solutions.
The time is running out for us to fix the systems of the nation. We cannot continue burying the truth that our country stagnates every election year. We cannot continue lying that ours is an equal and happy society. Sooner rather than later, the truth will catch up with us. Indeed, it has caught up with us. No one can deny that we are several countries in one. Some Kenyans are doing extremely well, while many others are struggling to access even the most basic of basics.
In his address in Nakuru County, ODM leader reiterated that no one can stop reggae. Raila said he's ready for any ruling from the Court of Appeal on the Building Bridges initiative, as the court is set to rule on the appeal on Friday in an open court restricted to 16 lawyers due to the COVID-19 protocols.
Tutangoja uamuzi ya mahakama ya mambo ya BBI, sawa? Wakiamua vizuri, sawa. Wakiamua kingine, sawa. Lakini nobody can stop. Nobody can stop.
Odinga was accompanied by key leaders in Nakuru, all who fashioned the agenda on attaining unity in the country, trusting that the new political way will unite Kenyans ahead of the next year's polls.
Mwanzo wa this declaration of unity is a good journey that we have started. Na vile tulikuwa tumezunguka na hiyo ya BBI, sisi tutaingia kwa ile train tuanze tena kuzunguka. Because we must be seen in Western so that people can know that Kenya is one. And those people from Western wakuje kwetu. Pia waonekane wapi? Mount Kenya. That is how we will build our country.
So long as we unite, as today we have agreed that as a country we are going to unite, this is the only way that we can help our mama boga. That's how we can grow this economy to help you people who are here. And let me say, let this be a beginning for our country to be together.
We are fully in solidarity with the message you have delivered today, and that the country needs your hands to move forward. Remembering the words of His Excellency the President Uhuru Kenyatta when in Kisumu, he did state that as a brother, having been a partner in the handshake, whatever the future holds for you, you will be together.
Odinga is yet to confirm his presidential bid as he's now backing President Uhuru Kenyatta administration after the handshake in 2018, where they vowed to foster national unity following the 2017 general elections.
Zaidi ya mwaka moja na kitu hatujakanyaga Nakuru kwa sababu ya hii shetani inaitwa COVID.
Dolly Mirigi for Hope TV News Watch.
As political leaders rush to form coalitions and alliances ahead of the next year's polls, Deputy President William Ruto has dismissed the formation of political coalitions in the country. Ruto's sentiments follows the formation of One Kenya Alliance, OKA, by Musalia Mudavadi, Kalonzo Musyoka, Moses Wetangula, and Gideon Moi, an alliance that seems to be supported by President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Deputy President William Ruto has dismissed formation of political alliances and coalitions, saying they are signs of defeat. While speaking at his current residence when he worshipped with spiritual leaders from Tharaka Nithi County, Ruto said politicians behind coalitions are using outdated strategies to avoid defeat.
Shida yao kubwa ambaye wanajaribu kutafuta mbinu ya kukosa kushindwa. Lakini hawajui ya kwamba Wakenya wanatafuta ni nani ako na agenda, ni nani ako na mpango ya vile wale hawana kazi watapata kazi, wale hawana biashara watapata biashara, maisha yao itabadilika. That's what Kenyans are looking for. And you cannot find the formula to win unless you have the agenda and the program for the people of Kenya to buy.
In what appears to be citing the One Kenya Alliance OKA retreat to Naivasha, Ruto said the country is after leaders with programs and plans on the creation of opportunities that will uplift the lives of ordinary people, and urged leaders to decline the temptation of retreating to ethnic political alliances that will hurt Kenya's social fabric and development agenda.
Nataka pia tukubaliane ya kwamba tuhakikishe ya kwamba msingi wa siasa ya Kenya sio siasa ambayo itakuwa ya watu wachache. Neno la Mungu linasema Mungu humtoa mtu mnyonge mavumbini, na huyo Mungu humfanya mtu fukara na maskini mpaka wakaketi meza moja na wafalme. Bado nyinyi mnahitaji maelezo ya bottom up kuliko hiyo ya Biblia.
Leaders present during the current meeting were MPs George Muragara of Tharaka, Patrick Munene of Chuka, Kimani Ichung'wah of Kikuyu, and women reps Beatrice Nkatha of Tharaka Nithi and Gathoni wa Mushomba of Kiambu.
So tukiwaambia tumechoshwa na kuambiwa ni mambo na mtu wa kwetu, tunataka mtu ambaye atabeba maslahi na mambo yetu na ya watu wetu kwa serikali, si ndio? So let us not be deluded by those who want us to get into political parties that belong to our region, that we must support one of our own from our region. We have grown beyond that.
Grace Wangoi for Hope TV News Watch.
Trust in him. In Jesus' name.
Thank you, Wangoi, for that report. Now, to matters justice, where 6 police officers under investigation for the murder of 2 Embu brothers have been arraigned in a Nairobi court, but they did not plead did not plead to any charges. This is after the prosecution, through Jacinta Nyamosi, said they required at least 14 days to complete investigations before they can face murder charges. On Monday, all the 6 police officers linked to the murder of the 2 brothers were suspended from the police service until justice is served. Here is Wanjiru Mburu with this story from the court.
6 police officers linked to the murder of 2 Embu brothers will spend 14 more days at the Capitol Hill police station until August 31st, when they will be presented in court to confirm whether investigations have been completed.
Your Honor, there is also a lot of concern about this matter in the social media, indicating that it's a matter of public interest and that we need to show that there is a commitment by the Republic that they intend to provide justice in this case.
The 6, Corporal Consolata Njeri, Corporal Benson Boothia, Constable Lilian Cherono, Constable Martin Wanyama, Constable Nicholas Sang, and Constable James Mwaneki were arraigned before the Milimani Law Courts in Nairobi, where the prosecution asked for 14 days to complete investigations, a request that was granted by Senior Principal Magistrate Daniel Ndungi. The 6 officers are accused of killing 2 brothers, Emmanuel Mutura and Benson Jiru, whose bodies were found in the mortuary on August 3rd following their arrest on August 1st at KIANJOKOMA Trading Center in Embu County. On Monday, the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, IPOA, recommended murder charges against the 6 police officers, with the IG of police confirming their suspension from service until their prosecution is completed.
Yetu ni kusaidia ama kusupport the investigative agencies, that is IPOA and Internal Affairs. Na jana tumesummon wale officers ambao walikuwa kazi usiku siku ile, na kwa hivi sasa tunaongea washafika Internal Affairs Unit Headquarters huko KCB Towers, na kwa hivyo Internal Affairs ndio kutoka hapo ndio watachukua hatua zaidi.
The 2 brothers were laid to rest on Friday in an emotional ceremony where leaders led by National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi called for the prosecution of those involved. Wanjiru Mburu, Hope TV News Watch.
And now the Inspector General of Police, Hilary Mutyambai, has named Bruno Isohi Shoso as the new police spokesperson to take over from Charles Owino, who was moved to the Kenya National Focal Point on Small Arms and Light Weapons. Shoso, who was in New York on secondment to the United Nations Police, heading the Serious and Organized Crime Team, is a former criminal investigations officer. Bruno Isohi is the new police spokesperson in the country. In 2016, he served as the criminal investigation officers in Mombasa County, and he specifically specializes in transnational organized crime. And from that story, we take a short commercial break. Don't go too far. We'll be back with more.
Now, you can always be sure it's Equity calling. When we call you, we will use only this number, 0763 000 000. Always be sure it is Equity calling.
This week on Turning Point.
Because God has called us and we are His children, the incidents in our lives are not incidental. Did you know that? We are God's children. The trials of our lives are not trivial. When you look at what's going on in your life, God is up to something. He has called you. You love Him. You're in this relationship, and God is working in your life. He's working all things together. He's stirring the mix so that what happens in your life is for His glory and for your good. He is using even setbacks to advance your spiritual maturity. Some of the things that you think are the most negative may be the most productive. This is the best promise in the Bible. This is the best promise in life.
That's This Week on Turning Point by Dr. David Jeremiah.
Welcome back and thank you for staying tuned on Hope TV News. To some education matters whereby over 7,000 candidates failed to apply for university placements, while at least 6,617 opted to apply for TVET colleges despite qualifying with a C+ and above grade. The Kenya Universities and Colleges Central Placement Service has released the placement results for the 2020 KCSE results, revealing that candidates who sat for KCSE exams in April and May under strict COVID-19 protocols performed better than previous cycle, with the 142,540 students qualifying for degree programs. Grace Wangoi has more with this.
Long gone are the days where students will rush to apply for university placement after qualifying for degree programs. This has been witnessed in the 7,850 students who sat for the 2020 Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education KCSE examinations who failed to apply for university placement despite qualifying for degree programs. Of this number, 6,617 have opted to apply for TVET courses despite attaining C+ and above. Unlike universities, TVET colleges are known for their hands-on skills training that empowers learners to be able to even employ themselves after finishing their training. The figures come from 2,632 learners who were placed in TVET in 2019. Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha, who spoke during the forum, has once again reiterated the need for learners to pursue the courses they are passionate about rather than just the ones they are placed in.
Cabinet Secretary, we know that the tragedy in Africa, as somebody put it, is that many people end up in professions that don't fit them. They end up in professions they don't love. They end up doing what they don't love doing because they missed something when they were growing up, so that they were mismatched in such a way that they didn't bring up or bring out their full potential to enjoy doing what they'll have enjoyed doing.
The so-called C+ and above, who everybody thinks will go to university, a sizable number of them, including those with A's and A- and B+, are choosing to go to technical colleges by choice. Instead of going to do a course I don't want in the university, like the PSC say, why don't I go and do what I want? For example, if I'm medically minded and I can't become a doctor, it's only a fool who thinks in one track. Why don't you go and do public health? It is nearer to medicine than going to do anthropology, which you'll go and do in the university for nothing. So there's a sizable number of over 6,000 students, 6,600, who have actually, on their own, gone to technical schools to go and do what they want.
Despite the 2020 candidates sitting for the examination at the height of the pandemic and having stayed home for 9 months after schools closed to curb the spread of the virus, their performance in comparison to the previous year has increased by 14% for those who qualified for degree programs and 33% for diploma courses. In regards to the matter of placement, Magoha has cautioned the board for concentrating their effort on those students who have no interest in applying. Moving forward, Magoha directs that more concentration should be placed on those who apply for university placement and isolation for those who don't. At the same time, however, Magoha has called on teachers to advise learners to apply for university placement even before sitting for the examinations. This comes after out of 10,437 secondary schools registered to sit KCSE exams in 2020, only 2,506 schools applied for university courses before they took the test.
A sizable number, about 7,000. Did not apply, and I accordingly advised that if they didn't apply, we have no business placing them. Because in the first place, I've told you, we have revised 3 times, isn't it? So you don't place. And I also want to ask my colleagues who are vice chancellors like I was before, that some of them exaggerate numbers. Give us your actual capacity. Give us your actual capacity as you work on the funding formula, which would be able to assist you. The good news is that all the children all the candidates who applied to be placed in both university and colleges have been placed.
Grace Songoi for Hope TV Newswatch.
And to some sad story whereby tension heightened as parents of Akisi South Primary School protested after people sent home to collect levies was knocked down by a vehicle, which was speedily driven off, leaving the people dead. 6-year-old Emmanuel Nyarongo, a grade 2 pupil at Nyamare Primary School, was knocked down as he was crossing the road outside the learning institution to his home, with reports that the school head teacher had sent him home for failure to pay 60 shillings school levy.
Kusema ukweli, hii mwalimu headmaster kila wakati anatumanga watoto, iwe ni mahindi, iwe ni maharagwe, iwe ni shilingi 60, na hivyo ni vibaya sana. Inastahili mwalimu aite committee, wasasi wakuje, kwa sababu rami iko hapa, inastahili kuwekwa bams ili watoto wetu walindwe vizuri.
Sisi kama wasasi tunaendelea kulalamika siku baada ya nyingine, sababu huyu mwalimu tangu aingia hapa hakuna chochote anafanya.
Naambia familia pole sana kwa kumpoteza mtoto. Naambia pia shule ya Nyamare pole sana kwa kumpoteza mtoto, pamoja na wanafunzi wenzake wa shule hii, kwa sababu ajali ya ikingiki hii kitu inaweza katendeka wakati wowote, na tunasema sisi kama chama pole sana.
Tumekuwa na tension kwa shule, parents wa mtoto na hiyo ile yote wameleta shida kidogo au kufurahia, kwa sababu inasemekana kulingana na information tumepata, mtoto alikuwa amefukuzwa shule kwa sababu ya 60 shillings na ni mtoto wa miaka 6. So parents na wananchi wa hiyo area wameleta shida. As we speak now, learning is not going on well, but tumeongea na hao, tumerudisha tension chini. Wanafunzi wote wa shule wameenda nyumbani, but right now wazazi bado wameassemble kwa shule, but tumeongea na hao kwamba serikali inatafuta hiyo gari tujue haichukulia hatua.
We hope justice will prevail for the family of the late child. Now, to some COVID-19 matters where the Ministry of Health says a total of 1,488 people have tested positive for COVID-19 from a sample size of 9,773 tested in the last 24 hours. The country's positivity rate now stands at 15.2%, with the total confirmed infections rising to 222,894.1. This being patients recovered 1,814 from the virus, while 4 patients succumbed to the disease, pushing the cumulative fatalities to 4,354. Still on COVID matters, where residents in NAROK County have embraced the mass COVID-19 vaccination exercise, with the administration of the jab taking place at the NAROK County Referral Hospital. Area residents are, however, lamenting the long, tiresome queues in their wait for the vaccine after hundreds of patients made their way to the facility during the wee hours of the morning, only to wait for several hours in queues before being served. Tiffany Wamboi has more from NAROK. Apologies for that technical sound hitch. Now, there is a need for formation or formulation of a legislation which will see the county government of Machakos cushion children homes where vulnerable children live. Machakos County Assembly Speaker Florence Mwangangi, while speaking at Matu Vision Center Children's Home, said before such a legislation is put in place, well-wishers and able people, especially businessmen, ought to support the most vulnerable in the society.
Tukaja tukaonelea tuwajengee choo. Tulipokuta haina choo, tukaonelea tuwajengee choo ili wao wakijisaidia hapo. Si kwamba tulikuwa na pesa ya kujenga, lakini ilikuwa ni ile kujitolea kwa kuona watoto vile wanasumbuka na kuonyesha kwamba na community tunaweza saidia watoto. Si tungojange wazungu kutoka nje waweze kuja kusaidia ile community area.
Hili shule ndio tuweze kusaidia wale watoto ambao hawana namna, ndio tuweze kuwapatia at least a hope in their life. So I really thank the institution, those who are running it, and the Miami resort directors for giving their resources to reach out to those who are not able to assist themselves. And I promise my support in my individual capacity. And whatever policies we can make as an assembly of Machakos to assist such institutions, we shall push so that at least we can reach to those who need our help.
To some international stories where President Uhuru Kenyatta has congratulated Zambia's President-elect Hakainde Hichilema following his election which happened last week on Thursday. Hakainde was elected the president-elect, with President Kenyatta saying that Hakainde's election in the hotly contested presidential poll demonstrated the strong confidence and trust the people of Zambia have in his leadership. President-elect Hichilema Hakainde was declared the winner of Thursday's Zambia polls by Zambia's Electoral Commission Chairman Justice Esau Chulu on Monday after garnering 2.8 million votes against incumbent President Edgar Chagwa Lungu's 1.8 million votes, with Lungu conceding defeat. Hichilema has been the country's opposition leader and has tried the presidency 6 times.
I therefore declare the said Hichilema Hakainde S to be President-elect of the Republic of Zambia this 16th day of August 2021.
The US President Joe Biden has defended his decision to pull out of all troops from Afghanistan, leading to the fall of the government there. The situation has led to desperation among Afghanistan nations who are quick to board the flights leaving Kabul to escape the Taliban. Biden says that it will make no difference for the US troops to remain in Afghanistan since the government troops had failed to confront the militant group. It remains to be seen if the move to withdraw the troops will affect Biden's political score, although Americans have shown support for the Trump and Biden's administration's plan to have troops return home after 20 years of service in the national. At least 7 people have reportedly been killed at Kabul airport as hundreds of people desperately tried to flee the country. After the Taliban seized control of the Afghan capital, Kabul, hundreds of Afghans were packed into a US Air Force cargo plane, leaving Kabul on Sunday as the Taliban took control. 640 people were reportedly on board, far more than its capacity.
This did unfold more quickly than we had anticipated. So what's happened? Afghanistan political leaders gave up and fled the country. The Afghan military collapsed, sometime without trying to fight. If anything, the developments of the past week reinforced that ending U.S. military involvement in Afghanistan now was the right decision. But if Afghanistan is unable to mount any real resistance to the Taliban now, there is no chance that 1 year, 1 more year, 5 more years, or 20 more years of U.S. military boots on the ground would have made any difference. If they attack our personnel or disrupt our operation, the U.S. presence will be swift and the response will be swift and forceful. We will defend our people with devastating force if necessary.
And Nigeria has begun rolling out Moderna vaccines, which it secured this month from the United States. The 200 million strong nation has only been able to vaccinate 1 million people. According to official data from Africa CDC, as health experts call on Nigerians to receive the jab. Earlier this month, the West African nation received 4 million doses of the Moderna vaccine from a donation by the United States of America. We take a short commercial break. We'll be back with business and some sports news.
Angry president, a betrayed deputy president, and a burdened citizen.
The spirit of BBI, we are losing it. How do we end up with immoral people leading the moral?
Candid talk.
At the core of our being, we are spiritual.
How should the church at this particular time show leadership?
As long as God is not done with us, or He's not pleased with our repentance or our turning to Him, we may still continue suffering the consequences.
Bold approach.
Whatever you bind on earth is bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth is loose. Become a son. Your life and your well-being is completely dependent on God and His power.
Spotlight.
Equity Group Holdings PLC has announced a 98% growth in half-year profits to 17.9 billion shillings, up from 9.1 billion shillings the previous year. While releasing the results, Equity Group Managing Director and CEO Dr. James Mwangi said the defensive and offensive strategy adopted by the group at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic to create resilience, ability and recovery has been very effective in positioning, navigating and driving performance.
Equity Group Holdings PLC, headed by the Executive Chairman Dr. James Mwangi, has released the 2021 half-year financial results. The bank has earned trust and confidence from its customers and the market in general. Being the supporter of businesses and other important economic sectors in Kenya, customers are now diving into the innovation of digital solutions. The group has showcased an optimistic nature about the future of businesses and announced a 98% growth in half-year profit to 17.9 billion shillings, up from 9.1 billion shillings the previous year. Equity Group Managing Director and CEO Dr. James Mwangi, while releasing the results, said the offensive growth strategy saw deposits register a 51% growth to 820.3 billion, up from 543.9 billion, while long-term borrowed funds grew by 78% to 102.3 billion, up from 57.6 billion. Net loans and advances grew by 29% to 504.8 billion shillings, up from 391.6 billion shillings, while investment in government securities grew by 46% to 315.5 billion shillings, up from 216.4 billion shillings, resulting in a 50% growth in total assets to 1.12 trillion shillings, up from 746.5 billion shillings.
So by the end of the year, we expect that business will return to normal, and we will be at hand to support the economy to bounce back and to sustain the projected 6.7%.
Mwangi cited opportunities in terms of maximizing wages if only low-yielding assets in the market are abandoned. One of the bank's strategies is to increase its market share to improve businesses across the nation by improvising a variable cost third-party infrastructure which will not need any investment capital, and leveraging will be on the hands of the customers.
We are willing to share with the community. So there is complete alignment of interest at stakeholder level, whether it's the shareholders, whether it's the community, whether it's the employees, whether it's the staff. And so it's an organization at harmony, it's a business at harmony with itself.
The 6 countries within which the group operates have projected strong GDP growth rates, whereby Kenya holds 7.6%, Uganda 6.3%, Rwanda 5.7%, South Sudan 5.3%, DRC 3.8%, and Tanzania 2.7%, with fairly stable microeconomic environment, making the group well positioned to continue with its offensive and defensive strategy for resilience, agility, recovery, and rapid growth. The group is optimistic about the future outlook of businesses, given its continued delivery of convenience from the transformation strategy of the economic engine, hand in hand with an enhanced trust capital brought on by shared prosperity programs of the Equity Group Foundation, the social engine of the group. The improving operating environment continues to enhance the strategic positioning of strong capital and liquidity buffers and an agile balance sheet.
It's no longer speculative. We have gone back to dividend payout starting this year in compliance with a policy that the board has set, shared with the shareholders, and informed them of the commitment.
For Hope TV News Watch, I'm Velma Mweresa.
Thank you, Velma Mweresa, for that report. Now, business operations in Tala Town, Machakos County, came to a standstill for the better part of the day after members of 2 PSV circles operating in the area clashed over bus fare differences. Wrangle started last week when the Naikana circle was introducing the route with an introductory fare of 100 shillings and later 200 shillings from the Tala Town to Nairobi. Formerly, the Kam and Makata circles had been charging between 200 to 350 shillings to Nairobi from Tala, a distance of around 60 kilometers, but the circles say the price hike came after a reduced number of passengers due to corona, hence lesser passengers on board. The clash forced anti-riot police to use tear gas canisters to disperse the rioting circle members.
Ile sasa inaendelea ni mchezo. Sisi kama wananchi tunaomba hata sako ziongezeke. Haja yetu ni bei iende chini ndio na sisi tuweze kufanya biashara. Kwa hivyo kila tunaweza uliza serikali itie bidii, watu wapewe uhuru wa kufanya biashara, na mtu akichukua leseni ya kuleta sako alete Tala ndio watu wapate kulipa pesa kidogo kwenda Nairobi na kwenda Machakos. Sababu saa hii kutoka hapa kwenda Machakos ni kama kilomita 43. Na tunashangaa tukilipishwa shilingi 250. Na kutoka Nairobi kwenda Thika inaribishwa 40. Na distance ni sawa na hiyo. Kwa hivyo tunaomba serikali ilete sako mingi sana. Waje hiyo wanasema kidogo. Waongeze sako hata zikifika 100.
Shida yetu sioni venye unaweza leta gari yako hapa na ujabisha odi. Unajua umeenda kwa mwenyewe,
lazima ubishe hodi na uombe usongewe. Unasikia? Ukisongewa usikuje na fujo na unaingia kwa wenyewe. Ukiingia kwa wenyewe lazima upige hodi. Ukipiga hodi uambiwe karibu. Sasa ile umeambiwa karibu, utafuata mtaratibu ya wale pale umeenda. Hakuna venye wanaweza kuja hapa hiyo mnaikana sako wanabeba kutoka hapa kuenda Nairobi na shilingi 100. Na hiyo 100 sasa hii fueli iko juu, serikali haijateremsha mafuta. Unaona? Serikali haijateremsha mafuta na wanakuja wanabeba na 100. Hiyo 100 at that time tulikuwa tunabeba na 350 wakati wa corona. Sikatai, ni kweli. Tulikuwa tunabeba na 350 wakati wa corona. Lakini venye ilifunguliwa Uhuru akasema gari ibebe nomo. Tulibeba na 200 na hiyo ni fair, iko sawa, iko kawaida.
Sasa hapa tunashangaa mbona tunanyanyaswa hivi. Watu wanatoka huko na huko ni kwetu wanakuja kutunyanyasa. Hii ni gari, polisi wametupa matia gasi huku ndani wanatupiga huku kote. Kwani tunashangaa wamepewa pesa ngapi ndio wakuja kutunyanyasa. Sisi wenyewe vijana wadogo tunajitafutia, at least tujenge familia zetu. Kama polisi wanakuja huku kutunyanyasa.
Na mimi nashangaa sana hii wiki yote. Maaskari wanakuja stage kupakia magari kama makanga. Ni kama sio wamelipwa pesa ngapi wa kujanga stage kushinda hapo kila siku. Magari zetu zinaingizwa ndani, zile zingine zinapepea nje. Sisi hatukatai za wengine ikuja, lakini haki itendeke ya kila mtu mwanabiashara wa matatu. Kwa kuwa maaskari kutoka asubuhi kila siku wiki mzima wanashinda hapa stage. Wakituingiza ndani na wale wengine wanapepea nje. Kwani sisi si wa Kenya ama sisi wakazi wa huku?
In Niamey-based Fonds de Solidarité Africaine (SA) has become the 47th shareholder of Shelter Afrique after paying approximately $2 million in capital subscription, granting it 0.6% stake in the company. Speaking at the signing of the pledge of subscription and the instrument of adherence by FSA in Nairobi, Shelter Afrique chairman Dr. Steve Mainda said the decision to admit Fonds de Solidarité Africaine as a shareholder followed the unanimous approval by shareholders at the company's 40th annual general meeting held in June in Yaoundé, Cameroon. In the recent past, Shelter Afrique has intensified the capital subscription receipts from current shareholders and at the same time mobilized heightened drive for recruitment of new shareholders.
FSA, we see them assisting us in providing guarantees. Those guarantees will allow us as Shelter Afrique to attract funding into the development of low-cost housing across Africa. They've also indicated that they are prepared to fund at least 10 projects across the different countries in Africa. Not only that, when we raise the Francophone bond of at least $250 million equivalent, they are also able to play a part in providing credit enhancement so that the bond we raise is going to be at a competitive coupon rate.
A été évalué en 2020 et la conclusion de cette évaluation.
And on sports, Tammy Abraham has completed a €34 million move from Chelsea to Roma. The England international has signed a 5-year deal with the Serie A club and departs Stamford Bridge after scoring 30 goals in 82 appearances, having come through the Blues Academy. Abraham will link up with the former Chelsea manager Jose Mourinho and wear the number 9 shirt in the Italian capital. Chelsea are understood to have included a buyback option in the deal set at €68 million, which does not become active until the summer of the year 2023. And that's all we had for you tonight. Many thanks for keeping me company. My name is Dickens Luvanda, and my sign language interpreter has been Boniface Mureithi. We leave you with today's weather update.